Today, we're going to dive into a story that was buried for more than 80 years. It's an incredible tale of desperation, a long-shot friendship, and a secret intervention that went all the way to the top. This is the story of Werner Barasch, a young Jewish man whose life depended on a single letter sent from behind barbed wire. Okay, let's get into it. So you might think this story starts back in the 1940s, during the war, but it really begins for us right now in 2020. That was the year the Vatican finally opened up its archives from the time of Pope Pius XII. For decades, there's been this huge debate about what the Pope did or didn't do during the war, and suddenly the actual documents were there for anyone to see. And what researchers found, well, it was just staggering. Tucked away in these files were thousands upon thousands of letters. These weren't official documents, they were personal, desperate pleas for help from ordinary people, so many of them Jewish, who were trapped in the absolute horror of the war. We're going to follow the trail of just one of those letters to tell one of those stories. At the heart of this story is a man named Werner Barasch. He was born in Berlin in 1919 to a Jewish family. But his fight for survival started long before he wrote that fateful letter. He was just a young man on the run, trying to stay one step ahead of a continent that was completely collapsing into war. So let's trace his journey real quick. Werner gets out of Germany and goes to Rome in 1933 to study. 5 years later, he's baptized. By 1939, he's in Paris, he's just graduated, and then, boom, the war breaks out. His life just becomes this frantic scramble for safety. He heads south, trying desperately to get a visa for Cuba, where his mom had managed to escape to. But just when he's on the edge of getting away, his luck completely runs out. And what follows is just this nightmarish chain of captivity that shows you the sheer chaos of the time. First, he gets thrown into the Les Mills camp in France. Then, in this incredible act of courage, he escapes and rides a bicycle all the way to Geneva, Switzerland, only to get caught and sent right back. He gets bounced from one camp to another until he finally ends up in the brutal Miranda de Ebro prison camp in Spain. So there he is, inside the Spanish prison, probably at his absolute lowest point. And it's here that he makes a decision that is going to change his entire life. He decides to write a letter. Just one single, desperate plea sent out into a world at war. So what was this place, Miranda de Ebro? Well, it was a pretty awful camp. But, and this is a huge but, Werner was forced to work in the camp's censorship office. Now, that might seem like a tiny detail, but it gave him this unique insight into how the camp operated, and maybe, just maybe, a way to get a message to the outside world. On January 17th, 1941, he does it. He puts pen to paper. But the letter isn't for some government agency or aid group. No. He writes it to an old friend from his time in Italy, a young woman named Paola Malchiotti. He believed that she was the only person who could possibly help from afar. And this is what's so amazing. Even under all that pressure, his thinking is crystal clear. Werner isn't just begging for help, he's thinking strategically. He gets how the system works. He knows that as a nameless prisoner, he has zero chance, but that an intervention from someone powerful on the outside, well, that just might work. And get this, Werner didn't just ask Paola for help, he gave her a specific and frankly audacious plan. He believed the key to his freedom was the Pope's own ambassador in Madrid. And he knew the only way to get to him was to go straight to the top, to Pope Pius XII himself. Just think about the chain of events he was hoping to set in motion. It was almost unbelievable. A plea from a prison camp in Spain had to get to a friend in Rome, who then had to somehow get a letter directly to the Pope, and then the Pope's administration would have to actually act on it, sending an order to Madrid. I mean, every single step was a massive long shot. And this is where we see Paola's incredible courage. On February 9th, 1942, she does it. She writes directly to Pope Pius XII. Her letter is so respectful, but it's also firm. She appeals to his paternity and charity to save her friend. It's just this powerful personal plea that tries to cut through all the bureaucracy. And here's the crucial part. This wasn't just a letter that got lost in some pile. The archives prove that it worked. We have the document, an official request from the Vatican Secretariat of State telling the papal nuncio in Madrid to intervene on behalf of Werner Barasch. Paola's letter had landed. So this is where the paper trail in the Vatican archives pretty much ends. We see the request was made, the order was sent out, but we're left with this huge cliffhanger. Did it actually work? Did Werner get out?
The very documents that set this incredible chain in motion don't give us the final answer. For that, we have to look somewhere else, years and years later, to the testimony of the man himself.
And the answer is yes. 1,000 times yes. In a video he recorded when he was 82 years old, Werner Barasch confirmed everything. The intervention was successful. He was liberated from Miranda de Ebro, he crossed the Atlantic, reunited with his mother, and went on to build a whole new life, studying at top American universities and working as a chemist.
So this one personal story, dug out of an archive, it adds a really interesting new layer to a very complex historical debate. Werner's liberation is presented as one piece of evidence that while Pope Pius XII was publicly silent about the Nazis' atrocities, he and the Vatican were, in fact, acting in the shadows to help people. And that brings us to the final thought, really. The story of Werner Barasch is just one of thousands that have come to light from these archives. It just leaves you with this powerful question. How many other stories of secret heroism, improbable escapes, and quiet interventions are still lying there, just waiting in the silence to finally be told?